You know, what if I told you that one of the most powerful formulas for learning isn't locked away in some dense university textbook, but it's actually hidden in a phrase you've probably heard a million times? Today, we're going to deconstruct something incredibly simple to find the layer of genius hiding right in plain sight. Now, you've heard this 1,000 times, right? It feels so basic, so simple, that we just don't even think about it. It's just a fact. But what if that simplicity is the whole point? What if it's not just a fact, but a perfectly engineered piece of instruction?
Because that's really what we're looking at here. When you peel back the layers, you realize this isn't just content, it's a method, a formula for teaching that might just be one of the most effective, most powerful learning loops ever designed.
All right, Section 1, the deceptively simple blueprint. How a kid's video script reveals a powerful formula for learning. So to really see how this works, we're going to dig into a 20-minute script from a kid's video. And we're not looking at it like it's a story. No, we're treating it like an architect's blueprint for building knowledge from the ground up.
And right off the bat, the first thing that jumps out is the structure. I mean, look at this. This isn't just a random list of animal facts. It's a precisely timed lesson plan. You've got your hook, your core modules, a rapid-fire review, a quiz, and then reinforcement at the end. Every single second of this is deliberate.
Okay, let's move on to Section 2, Building Blocks of Learning. We're deconstructing the core learning loop. So now that we've seen the big picture, let's zoom in. Let's put the core of this thing under a microscope, because there's this repeatable pattern, this little loop that is the absolute heart of the entire lesson.
And this whole method is built on a really important idea in education called scaffolding. It sounds kind of academic, but the concept is super simple. You don't just dump the final answer on someone. You build up their understanding, piece by piece, layer by layer, making sure each new bit of information has a solid foundation to rest on. And here's exactly how that scaffolding gets built. It's a simple 4-part loop they use for every single animal. First, you get the name. This is a dog. Simple identification. Then you get the sound association. The dog says, woof, woof. Next comes active reinforcement. Repeat after me. And then, boom, step 4 is contextual application. The dog is friendly. See, it's not random at all. It's a deliberate path from a simple word to a much bigger idea.
And this is the key takeaway right here. This isn't just boring, mindless repetition. It's incredibly purposeful. It's all about building knowledge up from a word to a sound, and then all the way to a full concept. You're literally building a complete mental model in just those 4 tiny steps.
Okay, Section 3, Making Knowledge Stick. We're talking about the science of active recall and reinforcement. So building the concept is one thing, but that's really only half the battle, isn't it? You've got to make it stick. And this is where the script gets really clever, leaning on some proven cognitive science to basically lock that information into memory. What you see here is that these simple phrases are actually direct applications of some really powerful learning principles. When you hear "repeat after me," that's what's known as call and response. It forces the brain to pull out the information, not just passively hear it. And then you have that quick-fire review. Dog, woof, cat, meow. That's a perfect example of spaced repetition, which is all about strengthening those brand new memory pathways. And the speed is just incredible. I mean, think about it. The script rattles off 10 distinct animal facts in just 60 seconds. That's not rushed, it's just incredibly efficient. It's like a high-speed workout for your memory, designed to get the absolute most reinforcement in the shortest possible time.
And the science behind all this is something called active recall. The idea is pretty simple. Your brain remembers things way, way better when it's forced to retrieve information, to pull it out of storage, instead of just seeing or hearing it again passively. That's why asking a kid to say woof is so much more powerful than just playing the sound for them again.
All right, time for Section 4, the power of play and how gamification solidifies learning. So the script has one more trick up its sleeve. After it's built the knowledge and reinforced it, it does this brilliant little pivot to really lock it all in. It turns the final test into a game.
And this is a huge challenge in education, right? We've all felt it. How do you check if someone actually gets it without all the stress and pressure of a formal test? Well, this script has just a wonderfully elegant solution. The whole switch happens in the language. It's subtle but powerful. The narrator basically changes jobs, from being an instructor to being a game show host. The phrase, "I will tell you," becomes this exciting invitation. You guess the animal.
That one little change completely transforms the dynamic, pulling the learner from being a passive student into an active, excited player.
And by making it a fun little guessing game, the quiz pretty much eliminates the fear of getting it wrong. Suddenly, active recall doesn't feel like work. It feels like fun. And that's absolutely crucial because we know that stress can actually stop you from forming memories. By making it a game, you make the learning stick.
Okay, Section 5. Lessons in Simplicity. What this blueprint teaches us about effective communication. So, we've basically taken this simple script apart, and what we found inside is this incredibly powerful engine for learning. So, let's put it all back together into a blueprint that, honestly, we can all use to teach and communicate better.
So here it is, the blueprint for effective learning. First, you've got to start with a solid structure. Have a plan. Second, build knowledge up in layers using that scaffolding idea. Third, don't just present information. Force active recall. Make your practice feel like play. And finally, always end with positive reinforcement.
And please don't mistake simplicity for being, well, simplistic. These exact same ideas, scaffolding, active recall, making things into a game, these are the very same principles used in some of the most high-stakes training in the world. We're talking about training surgeons, training software developers. The core ideas are exactly the same. You know, it's so fitting that the script ends on this note. It really just captures the whole philosophy perfectly. The point is that learning has to be effective, for sure, but it should also feel good. It should be a positive, encouraging experience.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to chew on. This whole blueprint, this whole system, it works because it is just ruthlessly simple and focused. It cuts out all the noise. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In our own lives, in our work, and the way we communicate, what are we making way too complicated? And what could we all learn from the simple genius of the cow says moo?